All right, hi everyone, Marcus here. Okay, so let's dive in now to taking your bot and making it multi-channel. In a Botkit context, this actually involves kind of a number of steps, and we'll try to step through them kind of one by one. We'll get started at the listener. There's quite a bit to be done in here. Basically, where before the listener was set up just to speak to Alexa, now we need to extend that. In this case, we're going to do it with Facebook Messenger, and kind of we can then start to trace through and see the changes that are going to need to be made. Um, One of maybe the first ones to call out here is extending kind of the specific access tokens and whatnot for Facebook. We'll set up a separate checklist item, basically an exercise to go through the Facebook process, which is somewhat involved to kind of get that set up and configured correctly. But then scanning down, you see a duplication of steps or in setting up the earbuds. One thing that do make note here, we've talked about, if you followed along with the lecture, the idea of having a dog with 1 or 2 ears. The idea here is we set up the bot with a single web service that's listening, to which we're at least able to connect different ears to listen to kind of the main bot. Um, so some of the nomenclature naming on the parameters here could probably be a bit better. But the core point is we're setting up the listening on the same service, so we only have to set that up once. Something that needs to be duplicated is in terms of the middleware for what to do on the receipt of a message. Here, this needs to be duplicated. Now, so with the Alexa middleware, shrink everything up to maybe kind of give it a little bit context. So at the end, there's really just kind of the set of kind of the receive and the send, but needs to be defined for each Facebook and Alexa. Um, One thing to note, in a way, Facebook's is somewhat easier to deal with actually than Alexa's in this regard, or at least the parts of it, like not needing kind of some of the deeper security. Of course, I mean, we could do that of our own accord with kind of the receipt of the message, but if Facebook doesn't mandate it in the same way. All right, so definitely a few steps to be gone through on the listener side. In terms of the NLP, you will see some things here happening as well based upon the way that we've set this up. Where if you drilled into an Alexa skill, and actually I will pull this up, in terms of what they call the interaction model, basically Alexa is doing all your NLP processing for you, particularly down here where you get to these sample utterances, where it kind of blows out all the possible combinations. That it's saying if somebody says show products for category, ultimately mapping to one of these, that means it's get category clips. That is defined as the intent that will get passed back. So in the terms of what we've defined here locally, in terms of our bot, saying, okay, so when Alexa was to tell us get category clips, we know this is what it means. With Facebook, however, where they don't have that layer of natural language processing about trying to take an input raw message and convert it into an intent, here what we're actually doing is actually providing some of the check utterances directly for Botkit to run against. So that's something else that you will need to think about doing is expanding, going back to the idea of dialect. So expanding, reshaping the way that you include things for the different platforms. So NLP is kind of the second thing that you'd be looking to change. Then also within the AI file, here, what we've done in many instances is have to write a separate set of instructions to handle the here statement. Basically, this is a one-to-one. They do the same thing. Again, dialects doing things slightly different. With um, Alexa, you need kind of the response.say, but with Facebook, you can simply use the bot reply and pass the message. So a little bit different way as to how they handle things. Um, so please take a note after kind of rifling through some of these changes that need to be made kind of wholesale across your bot is definitely could make more effort to kind of have code consolidation across these, but was trying to somewhat intentionally for this kind of incremental step and thinking about going to multi-channel is kind of leave um, quite a bit of duplication of the two steps there, so you can kind of look at them. In next iterations of this, we'll try to collapse this code base further. So for example, for the same intent, that you're not having to fire, two different functions and things like that. That this can get much cleaner and kind of consolidate it more. But it's a start.